Hello and welcome to video 3 of your training videos. In this video we're going to talk about short trades or sell trades, and we're going to give you some real examples of short trades. I'm going to give you an example in the presentation itself, and then I'll show you some real examples using the MetaTrader software so that you know exactly how to look for the signals and find them and trade the system well. To begin with, let's just start with the rules for short trades. This is a trend trading system, so the first thing we need to do is establish that we are in fact in a downtrend. In the case of a short trade, we want to make sure that we're trending downward before we trade. So we use these three rules to ensure that we are in a downtrend. The EMA 60 and the EMA 15 are both pointing downwards. The EMA 5 is below the EMA 15. And the EMA 15 is below the EMA 60. Once those three criteria are met, that's our establishment that we are in a downtrend. And then at that point, we wait for the price to retrace to touch the EMA 60. And when that happens, we enter the trade. I will show you this on the charts in a second, so if it's not clear yet, it will be. Once we are entering the trade, the system is meant to be entered with two lots or multiples of two. If you're just getting started, use two lots, and then make sure you watch the advanced videos to understand what I'm talking about by multiples of two. And we place a protective stop loss 40 pips back from our entry point. And then once we're in that trade, we manage the trade as follows. We set the take profit level on one lot to 40 pips. So our first lot exits when we make a profit of 40 pips, the same as our stop loss. And we set our stop loss on our second lot to break even when the first lot is exited. So in other words, we're entering with two lots. Once the first lot has a 40 pip profit, we take that lot out of the trade, and at that point we move the stop loss for the second lot. We leave it in the trade. We move the stop loss to the break even point, and we trail the stop of the second lot by 40 pips. Just to show you here with an example, our first step when we're entering a short trade is we need to determine that we are in a strong downtrend. To do that, as I said, we use three different criteria. First of all, looking on our charts and the colors of our lines, the EMA 60 is the green line, the EMA 15 is the blue line, and those both need to be pointing downward for us to meet the first criteria. The second criteria is that the EMA 5, which is our black line, is below the EMA 15. So looking here, the EMA 5 in this case is below the EMA 15. And finally, the EMA 15, the blue line, is below the EMA 60. And once those three criteria are met, we have established that we are in a strong downtrend. We look for the retracement. And when the retracement occurs, that's our indication to enter the trade. So we've established that we are in a downtrend. We wait for the retracement, and showing that on a chart, here's the portion of the chart where we establish the downtrend. We wait for the price to retrace until it touches the EMA 60, which is the green line. And at that point, we enter the trade. We enter with two lots, and we set a stop loss at 40 pips back from our entry point. So in this case, we would enter short as soon as the green bar touched the green line right here, showing it on the chart. We enter short with two lots, and we set a stop loss 40 pips behind. Once we're in the trade, we exit one lot. Our first take profit level is set to 40 pips ahead, so the trade goes in our favor, and the first lot gets automatically exited with our take profit level of 40 pips. At that point, when that happens, we keep our second lot in the trade. We set our stop loss to 0 for the second lot, so we set it to the break-even point. So our stop loss would be moved up to here for the second lot. And we continue to trail our stop at 40 pips behind until the stop loss is hit. So in this case, the trade would have continued in our favor. We would have made a profit all the way down here. Our trailing stop would have followed all the way down to the bottom, and we actually was off this chart where it would have finally stopped out. If you don't have trading software that allows you to trail the stop, every time you move 40 pips ahead, the trade goes in your favor 40 pips. Just move the stop itself 40 pips step by step as the trade itself moves in your favor. Okay, and let's just move on to MetaTrader 4 and take a look at some real trade examples on the MetaTrader platform so you'll know better how to look for the entry points and to manage your trades as you're in them. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of example trades using short trades and this system. Just taking a look here, I'm looking at the British pound US dollar pair on the 1 hour chart, and I'm looking at the time frame from January 28th up to February 3rd. This is a trade that we entered. Just taking a look here. First thing we need to look for is that we are in a strong downtrend. We take a look to see that the 60 period exponential moving average is pointing down. The 15 period moving average is pointing down, so they're both pointing downwards. Then we take a look to make sure that the blue line, the 15 period exponential moving average, is below the green one, and the black line, the 5 period EMA, is below the 15 period EMA. So that's our signal that we are in a fairly strong downtrend. Now we need to wait for our entry point. We want to make sure that we enter at the right time. So we wait for the price to retrace and touch the EMA 60 here, which it did, and that was our entry point. At that point we set our stop loss 40 pips behind and our first take profit 40 pips ahead, and we stay in the trade. Our first take profit level is hit at 40 pips. At that point we move our stop loss for the second lot to the place that we entered at, and then we just leave it in, trailing the stop at 40 pips. If you don't have software that can trail the stop, such as MetaTrader, you should move it every time the currency pair moves 40 pips in your favor. Move the stop 40 pips in your favor. In this case, I trailed my stop on the second lot, and it actually ended up stopping out on February 1st. Let's just take a look at the results of that trade. So we entered short at 1.6166 after determining that we were in a downtrend. The price retraced. It touched the EMA 60, so we entered. Our stop loss was set to 1.6206, which is at about this point here, and our first take profit level was set to 1.6126, which is about here. The first take profit level was hit, and our first lot exited automatically, and we moved the stop loss to the break-even point at 1.6166. At that point, I trailed the stop at 40 pips, and the second lot exited at 1.5886 on February 1st when the stop was hit. So the total profit on that order was 40 pips on the first lot, 280 pips on the second lot, so 320 pips total times $10 per pip is $3,200. Just taking a look here where we exited, the currency pair made its way down all the way down to below the 1.5860 level, a few pips below that, and then it retraced, and our stop was hit on the second lot on the 1st of February. So quite a profitable trade. That gives you one example of how to use the system. Let's take a look at another one here. We're going to look at the US dollar Swiss franc. Just zooming out here a little bit, when we take a look at the US dollar Swiss franc chart, this is the 1 hour chart on November 5th. Taking a look here, we first needed to determine the trend, and in this case we are in a strong downtrend. We use our criteria to determine that. The EMA 60 is pointed downwards, the EMA 15 is pointed downwards, and taking a look, the EMA 15 is below the EMA 60, and the EMA 5 is below the EMA 15, and we're actually looking at it at this point here on November 5th. And then at that point, we've determined we're in a strong downtrend. We wait for the price to retrace until it hits the EMA 60, which it did right here. And we set our stop loss. We enter with 2 lots. We set our stop loss 40 pips back to this level, and we set our first take profit to 40 pips ahead, or this level. And in this case, the trade went in our favor. We hit our first take profit almost 2 hours later, or just 2 hours later. At that point, we moved our stop loss to the break-even point, and then it almost stopped out again, but it didn't quite do it. What ended up happening is that it came within 5 pips of stopping out on the second lot, but it didn't. It turned around and continued to move in our favor, and the second lot ended up stopping out on November 9th. Just taking a look at what happened with this trade, we entered short with 2 lots at 1.0181. The initial stop loss was set to 1.0221, which is 40 pips back of this level. We take profit on the first lot was set to 1.0141, and the first profit was taken out 2 hours later. The first lot was taken out 2 hours later when that take profit level was hit. At that point, we moved our stop on the second lot to 1.0181, and we trailed the stop at 40 pips. The second lot almost exited within 5 pips the same day, but it didn't. It ended up exiting at 1.0100 on November 9th. So total profit on this trade, we ended 40 pips on lot 1, and we ended up with 81 pips on lot 2. So in total, we made 121 pips in a trade that lasted just over 3 days. So again, a nice, excellent, profitable trade, and a good example of how to use this system for short trades. Okay, with some examples out of the way, let's just talk about where to go from here. At this point, you should move on to video 4 to watch the rules for long trades. Basically the same as short trades, just backwards, but you still should watch the video. And then once you're done watching that video, practice making short and long trades on MetaTrader. You can do this either with a demo account or with historical data, but you do want to practice finding those entry points, looking to determine the trends. The more you practice, the more profitable you're going to be with the system. So move on to video 4 and then move on to doing some practice.